Hi everyone, my name is Brandy. I am with Brushed by Brandy and I am a Dixie Belle Paint brand ambassador, and I paint here live with you guys every Thursday evening, so that means it is Thursday tonight. And my husband Sean is here. You guys, while we're on, go ahead and ask any questions that you might have about your painting projects. It can be what we're working on tonight, or if you've got just questions about the products in general.
And I'll make sure to avoid them.
Yeah, Sean won't ask about all, but I do go back and watch these. No, Sean will try to catch what you ask. And we'll try to answer those as we go. But I also go back and I rewatch these later. So if we miss something, I try to catch them. But we're pretty good about catching them during the fact. I mean, I don't want to brag, but we're pretty good. All right, you guys. So I showed you a little glimpse on my page of the piece that we're going to work on. And it's this piece right here. Now, the picture that I showed you guys only had my slick stick on it. And I've since added paint, but we're going to add the paint tonight, so you guys are going to get to see that step, because I've got a door here that we're going to fix up, but I want to talk to you guys a little bit about it first. So this is a custom order. So this was chosen from my unfinished inventory. I keep an inventory of unfinished pieces. I really prefer to choose my own pieces to work on and do orders from my inventory, because, and in fact, I just dealt with this week. It's not always the case when customers bring me pieces that I can even work on them. Sometimes they're in such poor condition or such poor quality that I'm not even comfortable putting the time into them. So at least if it's something from my own inventory, I've already looked at the quality of it. I know any repairs that need to be made. I know it can be refinished. I prefer to go through that. And that's why I try to offer an inventory. It's much easier than trying to work on customers' pieces. I actually have one right now, and I made a video about it to kind of show you guys some red flags about a piece that I'm not even comfortable working on that a customer did bring to me. So that's coming up on my YouTube channel. This piece here tonight, let's talk a little bit about where I am and how I got here. So what I have on here so far, because this is a custom order, I've done a lot of work on it because I need to try to get it out, but I'm going to catch you guys up on where I am. And, but I wanted to talk to you guys about a couple of things I went through before I even got to painting. The first thing I did is I went through and cleaned it really well with Dixie Belle White Lightning, took all my hardware off. That's always my first step. Clean it and take the hardware off. And then the next thing I did, it had kind of an enamel finish on it. It is solid wood, but it was under an enamel finish, like a white kind of baked finish. And so I put Dixie Belle Slick Stick on, and that was the photo you saw was my Dixie Belle Slick Stick. I did tint it just a little bit with caviar to make it kind of a gray color, just a little easier to cover. Yes, you in the back.
Just for my own personal preference,
yeah,
or my personal gain here, is it enamel or enamel?
Enamel?
I want to be clear.
Enamel?
Okay.
Enamel. What's the other word that I say that you always get me on?
Oh, I don't remember.
Dilute.
Oh, yeah.
Dilute. Man,
Dilute?
every time. Yes, I don't know. How would you say it? Enamel or enamel?
Enamel.
Okay, then I'm going to say it the other way.
Yeah, I know. That's like asking my opinion about something.
Yeah,
and then you do the opposite.
Just to bug you. Yeah, it's my job. Alright, so I have Dixie Belle Slick Stick under this, and then when it came to putting my paint on, my customer wanted a blended finish, and I looked at this and was like, oh my gosh, like, oh, what are all these tiny little boxes on here? Am I really going to blend out all these tiny little boxes? I didn't know the answer. Do I want to try to blend out each individual box, or do I want to blend out the full door, kind of framing it out around the center? I tried it both ways, you guys. If you're not sure what looks best on your piece, how to arrange your colors, that's why I always tell you, my first coat of paint is my rough draft. I played with colors on this. I played with layout, and I really came to what I decided that I wanted to do on this piece. So this door tonight that we're going to repaint here is what I tried. I tried blending out each little square. I didn't like it. It didn't work for this piece. I actually felt like it looked kind of messy. It would have been really hard to get 9 times 4.
Okay, so I'm not good with math, so you carry the...
So it would have been really hard to get all these squares consistent across the front of this piece. I just didn't like how this looked. But I tried it, and I wanted to make sure that I showed you guys that it's okay to try different layouts on your piece. If you're not sure how to blend your piece and what to frame out, you're using those colors to kind of frame out and add interest. So this was the other choice where I centered it around the center of the drawer and it fades, or the door, and it fades out as I go out. That's the one I liked better. We're gonna paint over this right now. All right, so let's talk about the colors that I'm using on this piece. I also played with colors. So on here I've got, this is Dixie Belle in the navy, and I tried it with antebellum blue. And I showed an example to my customer, and then I tried in the navy and dusty blue. She liked the dusty blue combo better, so that's the one we're going to go with. We're using in the navy and dusty blue. Normally I like to blend with 3 colors. I tell you guys all the time I like a highlight, a low light, and then my dominant color. In this case, in the navy is so dark. I could go slightly darker, but what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna use black wax to make my darker color. I'm gonna darken it in areas using the black wax instead of adding a paint color. So let's paint, you guys.
Well, how about you paint? We'll just armchair quarterback this.
Yeah, I figure that's what you guys do. Just boss me around. Okay, so I'm gonna use my Dixie Belle Mini. These are my favorite brushes for laying paint on. I've got a few of them out here. I know that I'm gonna use at least 1 for each color. And then I'm definitely going to use a neutral brush to kind of blend my colors out. Let's start laying it on. So in the centers, I've got my dusty blue. So I'm going to start out by getting some paint onto this piece. I'm going to dampen my surface just a little bit, just so my paint glides over this base coat a little bit easier. I don't want to dilute. We should make a drinking game, huh? Every
I think
time
that's a city. Or a trading company.
I don't want to, I'm not trying to dilute my paint. I did add a little bit of water to it earlier just because it's so warm in California right now. We're in the 90s right now. My paint's drying rapid fast, and that's something to consider when you're painting. Your environment will matter a lot. If it's freezing, your paint acts different, thickens up. If it's too hot, your paint dries really fast. So just keep in mind what your conditions are.
The struggle is real.
It's very real. Not only that, but it's in the 90s, and the lake here closest to us, 10 minutes from us, is not even going to open this year. So we're just going to be hot and sweaty all the time. Or we'll go in our pool. I don't know which one. Okay, so when I'm laying this dusty blue out, I'm laying it out in my rough shape that I've got there, which is kind of a circle that centers around the center of this door. I'm going to dig it into the sides of my moldings to make sure that I get those covered. I told my customer whose piece this is that I'm going to be working on it tonight, so she might even pop on. This is for Barbara. You guys, everyone say hi to Barbara. She's been working together with me on this. It is kind of a collaboration, so some of these finish sides I can't even take all the credit for because I end up collaborating with customers, and you know, there's things that are harder about that, but then it's also nice that you can bounce ideas off another person sometimes. So you kind of take the good with the bad when doing customs. I don't mind the process. All right, so that's kind of even it out. So I got kind of a circle. Does that look about right?
It looks like Sean painted it.
Yeah.
That's my finished product right there.
Super good.
Yes.
You're more an abstract kind of guy?
I am.
Yeah.
Throughout life.
All right, I just want to make sure I'm getting all the sides of these moldings are covered in my paint. So here's what I want to tell you guys about blending over moldings. You're going to be shocked that I'm going to say this. I actually think it's a little bit easier because all of these moldings will kind of hide any imperfections. And that doesn't mean to say that it's not a beautiful, you know, flawless looking finish. It means you can't tell if it's not because it's all hidden in crevices and bends and curves and turns. So I don't mean to say that, you know, what do I want to say? I don't want to say that this finish is like less than flawless. It's beautiful, but there's a lot that these moldings are doing for me that you guys don't even realize in the finished product. So I would not shy away from blending over molded pieces. I'm going to keep adding water. I don't want this paint to set up. I'm not ready yet. I got to keep it in play, so I just give it a mist. I don't even need to mix that water in. I just want it to kind of sit on the surface and keep my paint from setting up. So this is my Dixie Belle in the navy, and I'm just going to come around and I'm working the outside of my circle. I'm just going to fill in all these spots around my inside circle. I'm not worried about if I've got paint down here. I'll come back and clean that up in just a minute. Right now I'm just focused on this part, getting my paint onto my piece, keeping it moist. I don't want it to set up yet. I'm also not worried if I'm getting my other color onto parts it's not supposed to be.
Do you find that the paint acts different if you paint outside?
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh. You guys, if you want to challenge yourselves, go paint outside. Number one, you've got just the ambient air. The airflow is going to move. It's going to dry your paint way faster. Even if you don't feel it, your paint's going to dry faster. The sun is going to dry your paint faster. We did a conference 2 years ago in Florida, and we were teaching outside in tents. All my retailers who were there know what I'm talking about. It was a challenge all day long because I was having to show them something and then go around and work with each table. By the time I got to the second table, their paint was already dry. They had these huge fans blowing on us. It was a really hard day. It was fun. We had a lot of laughs about it. You just work with the challenges. But if you've got a choice, don't paint outside, you guys. Okay, now I'm going to take my Dixie Belle Oval Medium. This is my dry neutral brush. And I'm going to keep a rag with me. And here's what I'm doing with this dry neutral brush. Keeping my paint wet all the time. It's not time to dry. I'm going to go in each little box and see how I've got half of it is my dusty blue, half of it is my in the navy. I'm going to swirl them together. I'm kind of mixing the paint on my surface to create a color that's in between the two. And I'm just going to kind of work this line where the two colors meet up.
Oh, Aaron's on. He's throwing a shout out.
Hey, Aaron, how are you?
To yours truly.
I saw, Aaron, you did some caviar pieces today. Those were really pretty. I see everything. I don't always have time to comment on everything, but I do go through and I see all the stuff you guys are doing. Okay. Had some, where I had sprayed my paint, I just want to smooth that out a little bit so it doesn't have any watermarks. This center square right here is going to stay pretty much just the dusty blue. I'm not really going to touch that one a lot. I'm going to give myself a little more water. I also have a fan going in the background right now, you guys.
What's that brush in your hand?
This is the Dixie Belle Oval Medium. So my two brushes I'm using are the Mini and the Oval Medium. These are my go-tos, you guys. These are the most popular brushes in the Dixie Belle line. Okay, so now I've kind of worked these two together and I start losing my in the navy. I'm going to give myself a little bit more of that darker color. I just want to darken up around the very edges because where I swirled those colors together, it got lost a little bit, and I want to darken up a little bit inside those boxes. I'm going to lay off this brush and come back and swirl in very lightly, swirl in that little bit of in the navy that I just added there.
Oh man, I don't know if we can complain about it being hot. I just saw Charlene posted she's saying hi from Palmdale.
Oh,
I'm sure that's pretty warm. Lancaster, 29 Palms, all that fun area.
So I'm just using, this is my, it started to pick up a little bit of paint now. I'll brush it on my hand. I can get a little paint on that. That's what I usually try to lay off onto my rag. But really this brush becomes my brush for the mixed color. That's 50% in the navy and 50% dusty blue at this point. This becomes my brush for that. I'm just working that section right there.
Valerie nailed it. Sean's going to have fun spraying this one.
Yes, he is, Valerie. Yes, he is.
Don't!
He just put those pieces together in his own head. Sean is not a happy camper right now.
I'm out.
So you guys, Sean usually sprays my clear coats for me. It helps me out a ton. It's a huge luxury. I do so many pieces and it's something that he's comfortable doing. He's not comfortable painting, won't touch a paintbrush to save his life, but he can come in behind me and spray clear coat really easily. Saves me a ton of time. All right, so I'm pretty happy with how these are blended in the box. Whoop, I lied. There's a spot right there. I do not like it. It's gotta go. I kind of just work my way around and I'm feathering these colors together inside each box. So I like them. Now, here's what I've done. I've gotten my dusty blue out onto this outer edge. So I'm going to come and I'm going to clean up that in the navy that's around this outer edge. So anytime my colors get muddy or I start losing a color, I just come back with that true color and I true the color back up. I just bring it back to its original self. And I, excuse me.
Did you want to say something?
Yeah, do I need to raise my hand too? I like inside the boxes, so I'm pretty much done touching those, but I do want to come back and I just want to. Are you messing with my brushes?
Huh?
Those brushes have a story. We're going to talk about those brushes.
Oh, man.
And then I'm going to do the same thing. And now I'm going to blend that true in the navy.
So if you have drips in the paint that dry, how do you go about fixing them come the second coat?
Okay, you want to try to fix your drips in your paint before they dry. That's ideal. No.
Worst case.
Don't let your drips dry.
Huh?
Hang on, we're getting there. Slow down. Man, the crowd is demanding tonight, the studio audience. Worst case scenario, if you have drips that dry in your paint, do you know what I like to use for them? I've actually got it right here. I did anyways. This, a razor blade scraper.
You gotta get in over. Yep. Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's a razor blade
There you go.
scraper. Not this exact one. This is not my favorite one, but a razor blade scraper. I will come back and I will scrape the drip. Again, try to get them before they dry. Come back and check your piece every few minutes. That's ideal, is to not let them dry in the first place. But if I've got one, I would come back with my razor blade scraper. I would scrape it even, lightly sand, and then go ahead and put a little bit of paint back on that spot. So that is how I touch up if I have a drip. But I'm pretty cautious about coming back while my paint is drying and checking it. Go over it visually. Oh, drip. Get it with your brush. Before they dry is when they're much, much easier to take care of.
See, I'm trying to give the people what they want, so I'm cutting you out of the picture and getting as close as I can up to the paint.
All right, so I added in that in the navy around the very outer edges, and now I'm coming back with my neutral brush, which is my oval medium. A little bit of water. I'm not adding any paint. I'm just using the water to work it together, the paint that's on my surface. Okay, I really haven't touched this center square from when I originally painted it because it really stays its original color, which was the dusty blue. I really am just touching around the edges. So I'm pretty happy with this. You know, I'm working my way around. So we started in the center. I worked out my squares, created my basic frame, and then worked out each individual square, just swirling the colors together. Once I liked that, I cleaned up my darkest blue around the edges, and I'm pretty happy with how this looks. I'm going to go ahead and do this side column right here. I've got a little bit of a blend that's going on these side columns.
Oh man, Michelle commented it sounds like a windy storm, so the fan must be picking up in the background. Sorry.
If it's bothering people, you can turn it off. I'm okay. Or is it for you? You were never concerned that I was okay?
Huh?
Okay, so that was my in the navy, and then I'm just gonna come and I just am hitting this little outer column with a little bit of my dusty blue.
Just gonna move it back and see.
I use so little paint on my brushes that I can start right away just brushing that into the in the navy. Come back with my dry neutral brush.
Sean's a mouth breather.
I am a mouth breather. I had to film this video for my son, you guys. I really am. My nose does not work at all. But I had to film this video for my son for his class project yesterday, and I felt bad because I went to turn it into his teacher, and all you hear in the background, it sounds like Darth Vader saying. But it
was it May the 4th?
It was
tribute.
It was yesterday. What was that? May the 5th.
May the 5th.
Dang it. Cinco de Mayo. No one says May the 5th. Alright, now I'm going to clean up down here on these moldings. Little bit of water just to make my paint glide over those. Keep it nice and smooth. Alright, what do you guys think? I think that's really pretty. So you guys saw where we started at the beginning of this video. And then I try to look over, one thing I'll recommend is if you're going to blend over multiple doors like this, do them at the same time, do them in the same day. Don't try to do this one and come back tomorrow and do that. You will have a different hand. Like maybe somebody else's, maybe Darth Vader's.
Like a backhand?
Yeah, like a hook. You will have a different hand, even if you don't realize it. And then you end up having to repaint the whole piece anyway. So try to do all of them in the same time.
When you're in a rhythm, right?
I'm going to ask you a huge favor. I don't want these to dry, and it's so dry out right now. Can you throw these in water for me?
This is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, otherwise I have to...
I need to go union.
Just put them in a dish.
What colors are you painting with right now?
This is Dusty Blue is my lighter color. And then I've got In the Navy is my darker color. So this is only a 2-color paint scheme. But what I'm going to do, we're going to go next to our next door and we're going to add waxes. I'm actually going to use black wax. Is going to be my 3rd color, my darkest color. I'm going to darken some edges and corners using black wax. Oh, I have another one for you.
What?
Heads up.
No.
I'd throw it if my car wasn't
I will
right there.
only see it when it gets within 6 inches of my face.
My face. Okay, let's talk about... Yeah, I got a little bit of paint right there. Touch that spot. Alright. Okay, let's talk a little bit about waxes. So, after this point right here, once my paint is dry, I'm going to come back and I'm going to detail each one of these little boxes with wax. I know, I'm a glutton for punishment. Sadistic. Can you show that box right there?
What?
And show where we're going? I know, back it up.
We're going transitional here.
Okay, so now we're going to move over to these 2 boxes here. This is one that just has the paint on it. It's a really pretty finish on its own. That's one that has waxes on it.
It's okay.
Lie to me and tell me that one looks better, please, because I spent a lot of time on it.
It looks great.
So, of the 2, can you see the extra dimension that's in these boxes here? It's a combination of black wax and then of course the gold gilding wax, which you can really see, but the black wax is a little more subtle, kind of blends into the blues, just makes it look like a little bit of shadowing. Let's go ahead and do that on this one here.
Let's go ahead and paint some happy clouds.
So we're going to paint some happy clouds. What I like to use for wax detailing are a variety of natural bristle artist brushes. I like natural bristles for waxing, and these are what I'm going to use tonight. So I've got these guys here, which are just long-handled natural bristle artist brushes. I have these in my Amazon shop, you guys. I have them in my Amazon shop. They were sold out for a while. These are my favorite ones. And then these guys here, which are fatter, natural bristle, small brushes.
No judgment here.
That's what I'm using. Okay. This is the brush set that I have that's in my Amazon shop. I just got a new one, which is why they're still on here. Because let me show you what happens to the natural bristles over time. These are the same exact brush. Can you guys see what's happened to my bristles? It's very natural with natural bristles. It's very common that they'll wear down. Yeah, they're going gray. You know you get shorter as you get older? That's what happens. This is the exact same brush. Same maker, same number 10. This is the same brush. My bristles have worn down. I splurged the like $10 and got myself a new set of brushes.
I don't remember
pretty
being
excited.
asked if this was okay.
I know. Sorry. You guys, please buy some paint through my link tonight. Like a telethon.
Hold on, let me get a phone.
I also have some of these guys in my Amazon shop. The link to my Amazon shop is pinned to the top of my Facebook page. All right, so we're going to use Dixie Belle Best Dang Wax in black is what I have out, and we're going to use their gold gilding wax. All right. Oh, do you guys want to peek at the inside of my cabinet? You guys want to know what's in there? It's not Bob, by the way. Where is Bob? It's not Bob.
I don't know.
It's not Bob.
It just got personal.
You guys want to see what's inside of here? What?
I hand painted everything.
Yes, you did. Okay, this is the Spanish tile decoupage paper, also from Dixie Belle, and then I've got a mix of palmetto and midnight sky inside. I think it's gorgeous, but I want to point out something to you guys. There's a theme here. Do you guys know what my theme is? There's squares everywhere. Look at the squares on the paper. Squares on my door. I've got squares on the side of my cabinet, and what I plan to use on the side is the Moroccan stencil, also from Dixie Belle.
Oh my gosh.
With a square pattern.
You're so square.
I know. But so, you know, if you pay attention to this stuff, the basic shape, if you keep that continuous throughout your piece, it is noticeable. You start seeing those consistencies, and on this one, everything that I'm picking has that basic square pattern. So that is the surprise on the inside. It's business in the front. What? Party on the inside. Back to business. Straight laced, business in the front. Okay, so I'm going to take my natural bristle artist brush, and I'm going to take my Best Dang wax. I tell you guys this all the time. My favorite Best Dang wax for detailing is actually a really dried out Best Dang wax. Leave the lid off your Best Dang wax. Have that one for detailing, and another one that you can use for all over that stays nice and soft. I like to let it dry out so it's a little bit hard. What that also means is there's some products in the line that even when they get old, they just get better with age. And I think Best Dang wax is one of them. So when you have old Best Dang wax, don't revitalize it. Don't go buy a new one. Save that one. That's gold right there. I'm going to take my smaller artist brush, and I'm going to outline this square. I'm going to go around the inside, and I'm going to come around the outside too. And this could be any moldings on your piece. These are squares for me, but this could be, you know, swirlies or any kind of moldings here. I would come around and basically outline them. I'm going to go around the outside. And that's why I like these skinny guys, because I can run it on like an eyeliner brush. Watch. Just kidding. I don't know how to do eyeliner.
Oh my gosh.
But that's what it is. This is like I'm putting on eyeliner. Sorry, Aaron, if you're still watching. I know you have no clue what I'm talking about.
I hope.
I hope, yeah. Unless you have a rock band or something on the side. Okay, and then I'm going to take my fatter guy, my slightly fatter natural bristle brush, and I'm going to come, and I haven't added any wax to this. I'm just using this to smudge out those waxes, that line that I added, so it's not so much of a line.
So how do you determine what gets waxed?
It really is, it depends on the shape of your piece. It depends on what details does your piece have. But I like to bring out details by adding darker color in the low points, and I'll add like a gilding wax on the high points. That's exactly what I'm doing here. All my low points I'm going to do with my black wax. My high points that are coming forward are these here. I'm going to get with my gilding wax. So black wax in the lows, gilding wax in the highs. The black wax could also be dark glaze if you prefer glaze. I hate glaze.
Unless it's donuts.
Ooh. Mama like.
Donut.
You know Mother's Day is coming up. Okay, now I've smudged out all my waxes, and I'm going to come back and I'm just going to darken up that crevice again so it's nice and dark. Just the crevice part, because I took that wax and I worked it out and created this smudgy look, and I just want the crevice to stay really dark. Then I'm gonna buff back my excess waxes. This is unsealed paint, by the way, you guys. Let me add that. Let's talk about waxing on unsealed paint. You can wax on sealed or unsealed paint. Why you usually seal your paint before putting on dark waxes is if you want that added bit of control, okay? You do lose some control. It's not as easy to wipe back. I'm pretty comfortable with the amount of control with this, but if you feel nervous doing this process, just seal your paint first. Sealing your paint protects your paint and it lets you play around on top of it without risking that you're going to mess up that paint finish that you just perfected. I'm pretty comfortable working with the waxes even on unsealed paint. I actually kind of like it sometimes because they go on much deeper in color on unsealed paint. It's kind of easier to get some of these smudgy looks, but if you don't feel comfortable, just protect your paint. It's that simple.
So the artist brushes that have natural bristles, where I'm so glad I don't have to keep repeating that.
Bristles?
Where do you find them?
They're in my Amazon shop. I have this exact set. These are made by Jerry Q. I don't know who that guy is. I don't work for them at all.
Props out to Jerry Q.
Yeah, I actually have 2 different sets in there because in my Amazon shop because oh man, my nose is right.
Well, that's okay because I don't have you on camera.
Oh, okay, perfect. In that case, because these yellow brushes were sold out for a while, they just came back. So I put another set in there too while those were sold out. Either one works. The other ones just have a longer handle, I think. But they're still natural bristle artist brushes is basically what you're looking for. Amazon doesn't have too many options for them. It's pretty limited. It's pretty much like the 2 that I have in my shop are your 2 options for natural bristle artist brushes. Okay, and then I've got my square outlined on the inside and the outside. I'm also going to come get these corners. I'm going to work this brush. You can kind of tell how I wear these bristles down because I'm going to work them into this corner. I'm going to outline the corner and then I'm going to pull it. You're going to want to get in here. This is good stuff.
Get in that?
Yeah, but hang on, let me get my nose again. It's super runny. It must be that fan. That wasn't me.
Oh, if I have a moment to embarrass someone, I'm on it.
Okay, maybe it was me.
I'm on it.
All right, let me show you guys what I'm doing right now. I am coming into these corners right here, the 45-degree, the miter corners where they meet up, and I'm just gonna ride my artist brush right in that corner. And then once I've got a line, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna pull it up this way and pull it out this way.
Huh. Randy's got a good point.
What's that?
The brushes, Jerry Q, not to be confused with Jerry Curl.
Yeah, don't buy that.
No, whatever you do.
It doesn't work the same.
Yeah.
I have no affiliation with this company whatsoever. Honestly, just natural bristle artist brushes is really, what you're after. I just can say that I have this set and I like them. I just bought them for the 2nd time, so they're decent. I don't know Jerry Q. I'm sure he's a great guy.
Probably related to Susie.
I don't want to talk bad about him. Maybe he's
You're not
going to
get that.
All right, so I'm doing all 4 of these corners. This is time consuming. I want to say one of these doors took me probably 30 to 40 minutes to go around, put all my waxes on, smudge them out with my brush, get the corners, buff it out. It's pretty time consuming. So I like doing detail work like this. I like sitting. It's kind of like Tracy painting her Harlequins. Like she does that. Sometimes I'll message her and she'll be like, I'm out by my pool painting Harlequin. I'm like, what? She does that for relaxation. So
if you wax and then you come back and seal over, do you have a problem with it running, smudging?
Oh, you guys. I talk about this on my video that's coming out on YouTube tomorrow. I show you exactly the answer to that.
Don't make the people wait.
Here's the deal. I spray my clear coats. I know, I wish you guys could go watch it right now. It's coming out tomorrow. My video that premieres on YouTube, I actually talked to you guys pretty in depth about clear coat over decorative waxes. Here's the basic answer. I spray my clear coats. It's a non-issue. Dixie Belle wax is water-based. I can spray right over top of this. You know, my clear coat's not going to run. If it does, I sprayed it wrong, right? Sean sprayed it wrong.
I was just locked in. You sprayed it wrong. What?
It was a funny joke.
Come on.
Okay, so my clear coat's not going to run. If I spray my clear coat, I don't even need to wait for these to set up or anything. It's going to stay right in place. So that's my solution, but not everybody sprays. So if you don't spray, what's the answer? I brush. I will brush it on. Not using the blue sponge, because the blue sponge, this is a hard surface because it's got a lot of squares in it. This would be awful to brush. The blue sponge, when you're sponging over the surface and it's got waxes that you very deliberately place, the blue sponge is going to create friction and it's going to pull. A brush, you can control how heavy your hand is, how much friction you get on the surface. So for example, this is more friction on my surface than just using the tips of my bristles and brushing like this. So I will brush, if I'm putting clear coat over decorative waxes and I'm not able to spray, I choose the brush over the Gator Hide sponge and I brush a coat gently over those waxes and I let it set up. That creates a barrier, okay? So you just brush it gently, let that set up, that gives you a barrier. After that, you can come back and you can do whatever you want. You can use your blue sponge, you can do whatever you want. But brush your first coat very gently, just give it a barrier, let your clear coat set up, and then come back and add more coats afterwards. That's my answer to that. That first coat, just be gentle. You put these on very deliberately. These are water-based waxes, and brushing a clear coat over the top can reactivate them and it can pull them. It's very normal. It's to be expected, but it gets frustrating, and so you just don't want to overbrush them. Just give it a barrier, enough to seal it, come back later and put more on. So I would just go zoop, 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 zoop. There's my barrier. Let that dry and I can come back and I can do whatever the heck I want to it once it's got a coat on it. Okay? So just give it a gentle, if I brush and my brush is wet and it's got clear coat on it, it's going to pull those waxes right back off of where I just put them. So just 1, 2, 3, 4, let it dry. That's my answer. But still watch my video tomorrow because it's got tons of good info in it. I promise. All right, so from here, once you've got all these, I won't go and do this whole door because it's going to get tedious. I'll do this after I get off camera. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some gold gilding wax just to my highest point, which is the outside of this frame here. Whoops, that's black.
I agree, Lindsay. It probably does help to make the noise. The
Yeah, it does.
It's French.
It does.
It's totally okay.
Those sound effects. That's really what sound my brush makes. I didn't make those at all. Shoop, shoop, shoop. Okay, so my next step is I'm going to use Dixie Belle Gold Gilding Wax. I'm a huge fan of working with waxes. And all I can relate them to is did anybody ever take like middle school art? That was the last time I had any kind of art class. And you work in oil pastels and you use your fingers, and the oils in your fingers will pull waxes kind of like an oil pastel. So I like to pull my waxes and make them smear and smudge. And I love the Dixie Belle mousse, but I love the smeary smudginess of gilding wax. So what I'm doing is I'm just using my finger, I'm dipping it into my gold gilding wax, and I get my finger pretty full. I want to make it look like I'm...
Here, why don't you come over to the actual... Yeah, there you go.
All right, my finger's pretty full. And I'm going to start in the corner because that's where I want my waxes the heaviest, and I'm going to pull it to the center. Okay, and then I'll refill my finger starting in the corner because that's where I want it the heaviest, and I'll pull it up. Refill.
Now we get back into spraying over gilding wax.
Okay, here's my answer to that. The gilding waxes are oil-based and our clear coats are water-based. If it's just decorative accents like this, I will spray over my gilding waxes. I do it all the time, have never had a problem with it. if it was an all over application, like if you were using a chameleon wax and you put it all over to get the shimmer of the chameleon wax all over, then I would not spray over that. You want to do that step last. But I'm just adding these small skinny details on here. I will let this cure for 24 hours and I will absolutely spray over little gilding wax accents with no problem. I promise you, I've done hundreds of pieces. Never had an issue doing a little bit of accents and then spraying my clear coat over the top. But if it's an all over application, put your clear coat on first and then put that wax on over. So this is what I'm going to do. Painstakingly detail every single square on all 4 of these doors.
Until it looks like this.
Until it looks like the grand finale. It's worth it in the end, I promise. But I think it really shows the difference to see what just the paint finish looks like. It's beautiful. It's really pretty. I love this paint finish. But then when you add the waxes, it's so much more. It's layering the products is how you get that depth and dimension and interest that you can't get with anything on its own. So my blended finishes, you guys, are always, I promise you always, you guys are going to see it on my video tomorrow too. It's always a combination of paint and waxes too. I love wax work. It really deepens the corners and crevices and shades and gets those soft, smeary, smudgy looks that I love working with waxes. So, all right, you guys. My link is in the top of the post. I always appreciate when you guys check out and make any purchases there. I earn a small percentage from Dixie Belle. The prices are the same for you guys. You can also use that link to find a retailer in your area. If you want to go into a shop and check out any of these products in person, you can also find a retailer in your area. So everything we used tonight was Dixie Belle in the navy. We used dusty blue. We used besting wax in black. And we used gold gilding wax tonight. And then I showed you on the inside my hidden treasure, which is the Spanish tile decoupage paper. So, all right, I hope that was helpful, you guys. I think blending over moldings is actually a little bit easier. If you struggle with it, those moldings are going to kind of hide stuff for you that, you know, would be out in the open otherwise. Does that make sense? If it's a big open surface, you can see everything. Your blends are out in the open. But this kind of puts them in corners and crevices and nooks and crannies. And so don't hesitate. Don't think that you can't blend over a surface that's got interest in it. All right, you guys, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out that video that premieres tomorrow. I do have a new one that comes out every week that's fully edited, shows you the finished product with it too. And I'll be posting that on my page tomorrow. It's a really pretty vanity. Thank you guys for hanging out with me on Thursdays. We always have a good time. You guys make it much more interesting for us too. And I will catch you guys next week. Have a great weekend.
One last thing.
Oh, yeah, go.
Happy early Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, because it's on Sunday.
Happy Mother's Day, you guys. Happy Mother's Day. We're going to be celebrating at home with our family. I hope you guys are too.
I'm going to sleep.
I'm down with that. I can't complain about that one bit. That's what I would choose to do. All right, you guys. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you guys next week.